What you see on your screen right now, it's the back panel of the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, and then the Xbox One X. These are the back panels of the Xbox One. Hello and welcome to our channel all about home electronics. In this video, we'll show you how to connect your Xbox One to your TV. And we'll show you some of the settings for your Xbox One as well as for your TV. We're connecting the Xbox One X to a 1080p flat screen TV. Now, you may or may not know that the Xbox One X is 4K compatible, but it will work with most any flat screen television. Your TV does not have to be 4K. The steps that we're going to demonstrate will work with all Xbox One consoles. The Xbox One, which is the original, the Xbox One S, as well as the Xbox One X. At the very end of this video, we unbox the contents of the Xbox One X. If you're not already a subscriber to our channel, hit the subscribe button at the bottom right of your screen. Please give the video a thumbs up, and we're going to begin right after this. Okay, so now what you're looking at, it's the back of the Xbox One X console and the back of our high-definition 1080p TV. As we mentioned earlier, although the Xbox One X is 4K compatible, you can connect it to pretty much any HD TV that's out there. So right here, there are two HDMI ports. One is labeled out to TV, and the other one we're going to address in just a second. Take one end of the HDMI cable supplied by Microsoft in the Xbox box and plug it into out to TV. Okay, so we have zoomed in closer to the back of our example television. As we mentioned earlier, this is not a 4K TV because the Xbox One X console will work with virtually all flat screen TVs, and it does not need to be a 4K TV. So we're going to show you where to connect the other end of that HDMI cable. Now, in our example TV here, we have a total of two HDMI ports. One that's here underneath, labeled ARC, and one here to the side, which is not labeled ARC, but it's HDMI port number 2. We're going to remember it's port number 2, and we'll explain later. But we're not going to plug it into this HDMI, the one labeled ARC, because ARC stands for Audio Return Channel. And some of you viewers probably are already using that HDMI port because you have your TV connected to a sound bar, or you might in the future have your TV connected to a sound bar which is ARC enabled, or a home theater system which is ARC enabled. That audio return channel simply passes the audio signal back to that equipment. So we're not going to use that. We're going to use HDMI port number 2. Now we want to make sure that our HDMI fitting is properly aligned with the fitting of the port, and then we just press it into place like so. Now this next connection, it's optional. You do not have to make this connection. However, if you want to connect your cable television set-top box or your satellite television set-top box or some other set-top box to your Xbox, you're going to unlock a whole host of features built into the Xbox One, which this video is not going to go into, but we're going to show you that connection real quick. Now, before you decide to make this connection, we recommend you look at the back of your cable or satellite set-top box to make sure it has an HDMI port. So what you would do is you would connect that HDMI port to this HDMI port right here. Now that's going to automatically lead us to another connection that you would want to make potentially in conjunction with the one we've just shown you. Now again, this connection is absolutely positively not required. It's totally optional, and we suspect that maybe only 5 or 10% of viewers, if that many, will actually make this connection. Now, this port right here labeled IR out, that stands for the infrared remote control signal out. So if you've made this second HDMI connection to your cable or satellite set-top box, you might, and I stress the word might, want to also purchase and connect a cable which is IR out. Now, depending on how your home or office or apartment is set up, that's going to dictate how you connect the IR out cable to your set-top box. You might need an IR emitter, or you might need a cable that has this fitting on both ends. You'll have to look at your set-top box to make a determination. In most cases, we believe, and that is probably 60-65%, it would be an IR out to what is called an emitter. So it's called an IR emitter if you want to look that up online. Now, if you happen to have an Xbox One Connect sensor, you can connect it to the Xbox One X. However, you have to have the special adapter to do that. And you would want to take a look at those instructions if you have that equipment to make that connection. But you would wind up using one of the USB ports here on the back to connect an Xbox One Connect sensor. The Xbox 360 Connect sensor will not work with the Xbox One X. So now we're going to take a look at this connector right here. And now this one's going to be important to a lot of viewers. Okay, so this is the Toslink optical connector. Let me explain. The Xbox sends out an audio signal through the HDMI wire. You may or may not know that already. However, a lot of questions that go posted on our channel pertain to, hey, we don't hear any audio through our soundbar. We don't hear any audio through our home theater system or our surround sound receiver. So let me explain this connector, because I think a lot of people who make connections for their Xbox One run into a little bit of trouble. So I'm going to show you a Toslink cable. That's what the fitting is. And I'm going to make sure that it zooms in clearly. And you'll notice right here, there's a little protective cap that goes over that little copper looking fitting. So when you're making this connection, make sure you remove the little plastic cap. It slides off real easy. Now, when you're making the connection of this wire, and it's not required, this is a totally optional connection, but if you have a sound bar, home theater system, surround sound receiver, you might want to make this connection, and I'll explain why I'm using the word might. So when you connect this cable, and it does not come with the Xbox One X console, you have to purchase this, at a retail store, online, wherever. You have to make sure that you rotate the fitting so that it properly fits into this fitting right here. Now, I don't know if the sound of me installing this cable into the port is going to show up on the video, but let's give it a whirl. Listen for the click if you can hear it. Chances are pretty good you could pick that up. To properly seat it, you got to hear that click. Now, the other end of this wire, you would want to plug into the back of a sound bar if the sound bar has an available port for this, or you'd want to plug it into the back of a home theater system if the home theater system has an available port for this type of cable, or you would want to plug it into the back of a surround sound receiver if the surround sound receiver has an available port. Now, I'm going to explain why I'm telling you all this, because some of you are going, wait, the sound comes out of my TV speakers, or I'm going to already hear it out of my sound bar. Right. We don't know how you have your equipment hooked up. We don't know what equipment you're going to get in the future. We're just showing you an optional way to get surround sound audio from your Xbox console to your sound system, and this is the way to do it. And that's why Xbox put this connector in here, because this is really the only way, aside from the HDMI, to get a true surround sound signal down to your sound equipment. The last connection I want to take a look at in this video on the back of the Xbox One console is the Ethernet port. Now, you might be saying to yourself, wait, this thing is Wi-Fi. Why on earth would I want to even listen to your spiel about Ethernet? Well, for you gamers out there, listen up. You might or might not know that the farther the distance your Xbox console is from your Wi-Fi router, the slower the Wi-Fi signal. Now, when you're gaming online and you're competing against people or someone, you want to make sure that your button press reaches your opponent quicker than your opponent's button press reaches you. So, if there's an opportunity and you want to maximize your gaming speed, this might help. And I say might because I don't know what type of Wi-Fi router you have in your house. I don't know what type of internet service you have in your house. But if you have latency problems where you do a button press, but you lose in a match against an online opponent, you might want to contemplate doing what I'm getting ready to show you. All right, so I just took a cookie cutter Wi-Fi router and I just sat it right here on top of my Xbox. And all you got to do is take a Cat 5 cable, a patch cord. You know, they're blue, they're yellow, they're white. You've seen them 1,000 times. Plug one end in to your Xbox One console and plug the other end into one of the ports labeled, in this case, 1 through 4. Do not plug it into the one labeled internet because it's just not going to work. All right, now we're going to dive into some settings. And what you see on your screen right now, it's the menu of the TV we're using in this demonstration. And you can get into the menu by using the remote control that came with the television and finding the menu button on it, and you can get into it that way. Now, chances are really good your menu's not going to look like this. However, it might or probably will have many of the menu items that you see on your screen right now. Now, I'm going to touch on three things. The most important one, I believe, the one that we get questions about most frequently, pertain to audio, and I'm going to do that one last in this segment. I want to touch on network. See where it says network Cisco? So the name of our Wi-Fi router is Cisco, and I don't know if the color is going to show up on your screen, but the Wi-Fi signal at this demonstration television is extremely weak, which goes back to the point I made earlier in the video. If you're gaming and you're gaming online and you're experiencing a weak Wi-Fi signal, regardless of the reason why, an Ethernet connection could potentially provide you a faster connection to the internet and help you defeat opponents if you're good enough to get down to the nitty-gritty when you're gaming online. So the next thing that I'm going to take a look at, and this is kind of a simple point in passing. So right now we have picture highlighted, and on my remote I'm going to select that, and there are a few options, and I'm just going to go down and select game, because when you're gaming you want all of your features, be they the brightness, the contrast, and then of course the audio, which we're going to get into next. You want those to be correctly set up for your scenario. All right, so I made that change. I hit the back button on my remote. Now I'm going to go down to audio. And I want to talk about audio for a second, because this one can be perplexing, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. All right, so earlier I showed you where you connect your Xbox console to your TV using an HDMI wire, right? Pretty simple. That's where the simplicity stops and where the complexity can begin. Now, all Xbox consoles, all Xbox One consoles will output a PCM 2.0 signal. Why do you need to know that? Well, you want to avoid running into a no audio problem or a, hey, the audio doesn't sound so great problem. So I'm going to come down here and I'm highlighting digital audio out. and it says PCM. Now on your TV, it might not say PCM. It might say bitstream. And what I would recommend, because we're adjusting the setting for the audio output, you might want to go ahead and set it to PCM, because the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S and the Xbox One original all output PCM 2.0 out of their digital optical output. Now, that's this cable right here. Remember I showed you that earlier? So if you want to hear audio, and if you want to hear audio correctly and you want to hear it in surround sound, then you need to have this setting potentially set correctly in your TV. Now here's a little bit of a caveat, a little bit of a got you that people don't know about. If your television was manufactured before 2007, 2008, it might not pass an audio signal out of the television. In other words, yeah, the Xbox console is sending the audio up to the TV through the HDMI wire, but your television is not sending the audio signal out of your TV to your sound equipment. And maybe that's how you have your sound equipment hooked up right now, which, if that were the case, I would go back to what I told you earlier about this Toslink optical cable, and I'd connect it to your Xbox console and straight up to your sound gear. Now, another thing that's interesting about the Xbox One X console is that it will play a Dolby Atmos surround sound signal. And that's actually a pass-through signal. And that is the best surround sound signal available, but you need Atmos equipment, Atmos soundbar, Atmos enabled home theater receiver, one or the other. And we're going to post a link at the end of this video that's going to take you to some review of equipment that has the Atmos built in. Another question that gets posted frequently is, hey, can I connect my Xbox One X or S straight up to my home theater receiver or my home theater system? And the answer is yes or no. So the answer is yes if your other equipment is 4K enabled, compliant, capable. The answer would be no if your equipment doesn't have 4K pass-through capability. So if you want to hook this up directly to a home theater system, or first to a soundbar and then pass it through to your TV, your other gear, the soundbar, the home theater system, the receiver, it has to be 4K compliant. Now, my last point on audio is this. We don't know how you have your equipment set up. We don't know how you are planning to set up your equipment. So if you have a red and white wire coming out of the back of your television that you put there, the red and white, the analog, all that produces is left and right stereo sound. That doesn't produce surround sound. So again, you're going to want to go out and find one of these optical Toslink cables to connect the Xbox One console straight up to your sound equipment. So right now we're looking at a no signal screen on the television, and with the TV remote you want to press the input or source button on the TV remote to make sure that we toggle down to HDMI 2, because in this demonstration, remember, we used HDMI 2. So we're going to go to that and then power up your Xbox. What you want to do is press this button right here, which we've already powered it up because we wanted to get through the boot process. Now we just installed quickly the batteries on the back of the controller, and you see the screen's telling us to push the little X. Now the setup is pretty straightforward. You can follow the on-screen prompts, but once we finish this, we're going to take a look at some of the adjustments you might want to make in your Xbox One console. Chances are good if you're connecting your console for the first time, you'll immediately be prompted to perform an update, which in this particular case, it looks like the update's going to take about 15 to 20 minutes. Setting up your Xbox console is going to take 45 minutes to about an hour. So once you power your console back up and you've logged into your account, which Microsoft has you create an account, you're going to come to this home screen and you're going to want to highlight this box here and then press the selection button on your controller. And what you're going to find is that if you use the down button, you can get into settings, and from there, any adjustments that you want to make or questions that you have, whether it's about 4K, which again, this TV is not 4K because it works with non-4K TVs, but if this was a 4K TV and you had questions about that, you can get that information here. You can make some various setting adjustments here as well. Including if you decided to connect your satellite set-top box or your cable set-top box and you have questions about getting access to your TV service through here, you can access that as well. Below this video in the description, we've published some helpful links that you can use as a resource when connecting your Xbox One. This is the packaging for the Xbox One X console. We're going to unbox the contents. Here's what's inside the package. You obviously get the Xbox One X console, which has 1 terabyte of storage, supports 4K. Now, you also get the wireless controller. They furnished 1 inside this package. They also furnished 2 AA batteries. You need to provide power to your console, so they provide the electrical connection cable. Now, you're going to connect your console to a television. It does not have to be a 4K television. This will work with virtually all flat screen high-def TVs. Xbox included the HDMI wire that you'll need. It's included in the package. Then they've included some paperwork, which is a very minimal quick start guide, as well as the product and warranty guide. Hey, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Hit the thumbs up. We hope you have a great day.